So if people sign into the Zoom, are they required to identify themselves?
That's a good question, because there was someone there last week and I asked them to identify themselves and they didn't say who they were, and so I have no idea who that was.
Yeah, I noticed that in the meetings minutes, do they have to, or, I mean, I'm sure it's good practice, just so we know who's there, but it is a public meeting, right?
It is, anybody.
So anybody can, yeah,
Yep.
okay.
This is.
You know where you showed me the other day, the last meeting, the list of who's doing what on the comprehensive plan, is it in the Google Drive?
It is.
It is.
What's it under? I'm in here.
It's not in a folder, it's go down towards the bottom.
Okay, well, let's see, I might not be getting in. Okay, so I'm gonna have to get Drive downloaded, right?
What I did was I clicked on the link from email
That's what I did.
and then it said I didn't have access, so I said, give me access, and then somebody gave me access and then I was in.
Okay, cause see, here's the. Okay, that's what I did. Google Drive
Yeah,
and
okay.
I'm in, so, but January 7th.
Comprehensive plan, go under
Oh,
comp
this
plan,
is, okay,
go
this
under
is,
comp plan. Now scroll down,
okay,
see submission, state submission. Keep going, there you go, that one.
thank you. I just needed to look further, okay. That's the only way I can get in, I don't have it up on my, how do you put it up?
Bookmark it,
You gotta read it.
star, single star.
Yeah, right there.
favorites. No, no, up,
No, okay, wait a minute, okay.
there you go.
Did that bookmark it?
So we are live streaming, our owl, what is on, but I don't know.
Does it need to be turned or something, or?
It turns by itself,
Google.
whoever's talking, but I'm
Yeah.
not sure why.
Here. Open it.
There it is.
Oh, what's this, wait,
And I always use a mouse, I have a hard time using that.
so now I'm being a bit of a-
You put it down.
So now you go over here when you wanna find it,
There it
it's
is,
right there,
there it is,
okay?
yep. Oh, but it says Canton comp, okay, Canton
Yeah.
comp plan, so I want the whole Google Docs then, is that just the comp plan?
So there's two folders,
That'll take you into the folder.
Okay,
there's the comp plan that's the working folder that's different color.
Yeah.
That's got all the working documents, the other one has the current existing comp plan in it.
okay, I'll figure it out,
It will take you to this page
right,
when you click on that.
yep. Okay,
So Don, you're acting, I believe you are vice chair.
okay, we would,
So it should be already ready.
yeah, he's gonna do it.
You can call the meeting to order, 6:08.
Oops.
No public in attendance, there's nobody on the Zoom meeting, right?
Not at this time, not see if there's anybody else. who's-
Oh, it does say one watching,
That's the one that's the town that's
no description.
Okay.
the open.
All right.
You should have in front of you the January 7th meeting minutes.
Mhm. Move to accept. Or is there,
Second it, okay, great.
All in favor?
Yep.
I sent that a note, a minute ago, because there's all been copied on, to ask Aaron, just on the first of every month, stick the permit log in the planning board mailbox so that we have it for our meetings. And I'm not sure, I mentioned to Kathy, I'm not sure that he's getting any of my emails, because I never ever get a response from him, so I don't know if it's somehow they're not coming through, or,
Oh,
I don't know, but this went directly to him, hopefully the email, so we'll see if we can get a response.
Okay.
And what is it you're asking for? Any
A permit law.
permit
Permit law.
laws, any permit law changes?
Well, just any, if he just once a month, first of the month, makes a copy of it and sticks it in the box, that'd be great.
So we can review it every month.
Okay, is there a document that comes in monthly for that then?
Well, every time somebody applies for a permit,
Oh, permit law, okay,
permit,
got it.
yeah.
he fills it out, and
Yeah,
I think it came up over a year ago, because people would ask us, hey, do you know what's going on with on such and such a
Oh, sorry.
street, and we're like, no, we have no idea. what's going on."
No idea what we said.
Because we don't see the permit applications unless it's shoreline zoning, or there's variance that's needed, or.
So he handles the permits and he actually puts them into a log.
yeah,
Okay,
Yeah, we've looked at it a couple times.
right,
Yeah,
like twice, I think.
yeah,
But it'd be
right.
great. It just-
So it'd be nice, I mean, that's like a regular thing we're supposed to do,
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
is keep up with that.
Yeah.
So before we go to the work plan, I did email out this week several, ordinances we said we're gonna finalize. So you should have them all in your
Right.
notes. Um. okay, one second, I'll look them up and see this file.
I reviewed that, cemetery document.
Yeah, there seems to be a lot of potential things we could put into others from there, but I know that.
But that was a lot of regulation, and do we need all of that? Because as I was reading through it, I'm like, well, this is really detailed and well organized, but. You know, I'm not sure that we need all of that. There's an ordinance, did Robin say? Okay, so I know she couldn't make it this week. We need to ask her, I think, next week. If there's something, you know,
And that's-
specific in that other document that she's looking for in this one. I don't know if you guys got a chance
Yeah.
to read through it. It was really
Long.
long.
That's the
Yeah.
cemetery ordinance.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so I read through it and I took one or two things out of this.
You know, glossaries are nice and. But I don't know. That was just mine.
So. Here's if you might wanna all move to this side of the table, so you can see the screen.
I had a plan.
Okay.
Oh, you're not that shit.
Alright,
So. The thing that's showing. I lost it.
oh, wait, I'm gonna move.
Like sitting in the front row of the cinema, right?
Yeah.
Nobody can sit in the front row. So at town meeting last June. There was pushback on two parts of the agreement. One pushback was on. They didn't think it was clear enough when we defined the kinds of vehicles that it could not be in the center. Because basically, they don't want snowmobiles, they don't want ATVs. So we clarified that. At that point, we also discussed. It's always been these Sexton has been a 3-year term, but they changed that to a 1-year term because I think the person who's doing it may or may not want to continue. And so if you just keep renewing on a 1-year basis, he was happier doing that than.
Okay.
Term, so we changed the Sexton term from 3 to 1 year.
Uh-huh.
The prohibited activities. Some people said, they do have picnics in there, sometimes they go.
Well, some people's religious background is really weird concerning how they celebrate the dead. It's really odd. Like in the Philippines, they throw a party on your gravestone. It's really weird.
We may have had time to look around, but because she would have. So anyway, we took out picnics are okay, horseplay, sports activities, gatherings not in keeping with the purpose and dignity of the cemetery are prohibited. That's a little bit loose, but people kind of get the idea. The riding of motorized recreational vehicles of any sort, including but not limited to snowmobiles and all-terrain vehicles, will not be allowed within any town cemetery without the permission of the cemetery committee. So if for some reason, maybe somebody who passed away was a big member of the ATV club and they want to have a ceremonial ATV parade to his plot, if the sexton says it's okay, they can do it. But otherwise, they don't want you having horseplay, and
Yeah.
no going there, they're doing wheelies and that kind of stuff.
Right.
So snowmobiles and ATVs are the two key things that are permitted. If somebody happens to be attending a funeral there and they ride on a motorcycle, that's fine.
Right.
If you ride your bicycle, that's fine too.
Yeah.
So that clarifies.
Okay, so it says. Shall not be allowed within, so. Vehicles of any sort, including but not limited to,
Snowmobiles and all-terrain vehicles.
oh, so they're not allowing them either.
That's the only two things they're not allowed. Right, snowmobiles and ATVs are not allowed unless the sexton says it's okay.
Okay. Oh, okay.
And I noticed there was a little kickback about the no glass bottles or like, or alcoholic beverages. Cause some people do like to leave a beer on the gravestone.
Or pour some beer on the
Right.
grave.
Yeah,
I think if you pour the beer and leave,
That'd be
That's
okay.
one thing, but leaving the bottle there is what this says.
I got
Oh,
No glass bottles and alcoholic beverages. Oh, it does say no booze.
right,
right.
that's his town policy.
Oh, shall be,
Town-
not be placed on the monuments and graves
Right.
glass bottles may not prohibited in town shall not.
within the town cemetery and shall. take
So the
place there.
Canton recreation ordinance, right, you're not allowed to go to the ball field and have alcoholic beverages on the
Right.
Right,
Right,
Right.
you have to lie to it. So I think you
Right.
have to say that. Now,
Yeah,
if people do a six-pack salute to somebody at their funeral, is anybody gonna
right.
stop?
Yeah.
I suppose it's probably up to the sexton.
Yeah.
Be a be a good idea to ask anyways.
So I did clarify this whole section, part of section 7 did come from the Waterford.
Yeah.
Ordinance.
Yeah.
Right, payment in full is required before any burial is permitted, like I thought, that's probably a good thing, we don't, wasn't explicitly laid out, but it is now. This whole
they
interment
say,
was new, this right of interment, that basically says, the purchasers own the right of interment. They don't own the actual land, right? You have the right to be buried there, but you don't own the land per se. Just the right to use it. Let's see if I go, or one or more. Specific site, subject to policy, blah, 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 inheritance, which I thought was an interesting piece, that if. Somebody dies, and they're not choosing to be buried there for whatever reason. Who gets the right to that plot? So you can will your plot. That you've already paid for, you paid in advance to somebody else, but you have to show that you have the right to that. I did think this was also important, the town has no obligation to repurchase the right of interment, so if I bought a lot and I end up not
Right.
using it,
We don't need to buy it back.
the town does not have to buy it back. So those seem like really interesting
Yeah.
things that we hadn't considered should be there.
Hmm.
The numbering changed as a result of that.
Yeah.
After the town meeting, we took out what used to be section 11 elevated. Memorials for.
Yeah.
There was some, what we call the cemetery ladies, who were the group that got started cleaning up all the cemeteries in town before the bicentennial. Right, and every spring they get a work crew from the high school here, and they've taken classes on how to properly clean them, and how to raise up the ones that are falling over, blah, blah, blah. They originally suggested that, because of these pedestals get tipped over, they start to sink into the ground, then they tip over, they didn't want any elevated memorials, but then the question was, how do you define an elevated memorial, right? Because there's stones that are sometimes elevated, and you can have a pedestal with like a bird bath on the top of it, or whatever,
Mhm.
And so we, at town meeting, the discussion was, let's just take that section out.
Yeah.
I think those were the big. Changes that came from either the town meeting or Robin. That's not a Waterford. Now I can send this back to the draft here and say, hey, this is the section we added. based on the Waterford example, were there any others that you specifically want to would consider? And see if you get an answer to that.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We also should have in the reality planning board ordinance. So this revision, we worked on over the summer. Really, and then a lot of it had the addition of the other.
Oops.
Um. So it's
Do you wanna-
field and.
I got it, oh, okay.
Yeah. Make this a little bigger. I think here. So planning board members should be elected by a vote of the people. So none of that changed. Elections, number of board members, we added the words and one alternate. There. We clarified in the vacancy section. If once a vacancy occurs, and a vacancy is either somebody resigns for whatever reason, or we boot them out for non-attendance or non-participation. Once at the next available meeting, the alternate's called into service for the balance of the term of that planning board member who's vacating their seat.
Isn't the first part of that supposed to be at the next available planning board meeting?
Planning board says so.
Well, that's a good question. Does the select board have to officially
Yeah,
assign them that role?
yeah,
Oh, really?
you have to swear in at the
Okay.
select board meeting
Okay.
Yeah, that's what it says.
before you can serve on the planning board.
So I think the select board has to basically appoint them.
Yeah,
There's the
right.
alternate. You're now moving up to the official seat.
Okay.
And.
Yeah. Cause it's being done outside of voting.
Right.
So,
But weren't y'all sworn in?
mhm.
We'd have
I
to,
went to a select board meeting and they asked me a couple questions and they appointed me and I was sworn in there.
because Diane swore me in.
Yep.
No, Kathy.
Kathy, yeah.
Kathy.
So my brain's going, so you have to be sworn in again.
Well, I think you have to officially change your role. Now, we could leave it, we could put it to the planning board, I don't know, and say, if you're already an alternate, you're already sworn in. Does the planning board just say, welcome to the big kids
Yeah,
table? You know,
Right, I don't think you have to be sworn in again at the
Okay,
planning
so
board
let's
level.
just put the planning.
Okay, because that's just a little confusing.
Okay, and then within 60 days, following the occurrence of a vacancy on the planning board and a call to service of the alternate to become a full board member, the municipal officers, who are the select board, right, shall appoint a new alternate.
Right.
So they're gonna backfill that spot.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Oh.
Good catch.
Such an unusual sound to hear around here.
Always.
Can you hear them from your house? Because we can hear it from our house.
Yeah.
I can
You can
hear.
hear, from your house? I can hear.
Yeah, I mean, one day I had 2 volunteers at my house helping me, some young men helping with a project,
Yeah.
and they were listening, they're like, oh, that's just such and such side, and all of a
Oh,
sudden.
yeah, everything.
3, 4,
echoes
5,
off.
they're like, that's me, and then I hear that his pager went off. So. So this is how you get a vacancy, right? Resignation, death. We're gonna keep you till you die. If you cease to be a registered voter of the town, you're no longer a resident, or you miss 4 consecutive regular meetings without a pre-approved absence. Failure to attend 75% of meetings. So once we get the vacancy. We advise the municipal officers, hey, so-and-so is gonna leave the board, either by their choice, or if we say we're asking them to leave for whatever reason. We may say, hey, this person should be removed based on the regulations here, but we're gonna advise that they stay because we think there's an exception, blah, blah, blah. So, but we have to put that in writing to the.
Hmm.
Select board. You can't be on the planning board and the select board.
No.
Yeah, so none of these are new, right?
Correct.
These are
No,
all
these are all the same.
existing, same.
And nothing else changed, change. We did add that part here, if any member of the planning board is absent from a regularly scheduled meeting, the alternate may take the open seat in order to maximize efficient business. The alternate is- We put in that compensation piece because I think it wasn't clear to the town office, does this person actually get paid or not?
Yeah, okay.
So it's like, yes, they do.
Oh, yeah, compensation, yeah,
Uh,
that's only fair.
So duties and powers, it's really. The planning board, the use of the comprehensive planning committee shall oversee the preparation, updating and maintenance of comprehensive strategic plans, which is really the company. As may be required by. Statute laws. You prepare and recommend to the mental officers ordinances amendments thereto as exceed advisable. Blah, blah, blah. I think, and also, advisable may be required to encourage of municipalities by any comprehensive strategic plan. I think we shifted the wording there just a tiny bit, because sometimes it was called the municipal land use plan.
Hmm.
I think it's bigger than just land use.
Right.
And because I think we talked about wanting that comprehensive plan to be. An actual working document that guides actions, not just something that sits on the shelf, even though it's gonna be really pretty on the shelf. So we have our own budget, we can spend a budget on our stuff. Which I think I copied you guys too, somebody was offering a grant writing, updated grant writing course.
Yeah.
I thought, oh, I'm gonna sign up for that.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
that's really interesting.
If I do it on Zoom, you wanna come over to it at my house?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
when is that?
Uh,
Probably have it in my email, so. Let me see, I don't really know.
Don't see it on my calendar. Was it, did Maine Municipal run that?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what I.
I'm
You
not-
find that, let me know.
Yeah,
I'm interested in, I mean, I don't need to have. You know. I think they'll only give you one. Certification document.
Here it is. I
Training,
got it.
and that's fine. I
January-
just want the training itself, right? I don't.
grant writing seminar.
Yeah, when is that?
It is $65, we have that in. We have that in the budget, are you okay? Oh,
it's a date on there.
is the date on here? Nope,
Here it is.
when is the date? So it's $65. So you would,
Yeah,
you,
it doesn't, yeah.
so you signed up for it, right?
Mhm.
So if we come, we don't have to, they don't have to pay for us, do they, or do they?
No, we'll just
If it's online.
watch it
Yeah,
on the Zoom.
If it's online.
Yeah, just let me know the date. Yeah, I'm into that. Cool. Cause next step is let's go get money, right?
Yes, once we get the actual plans, like we can see what do you wanna do,
Yeah,
and it's figure out what make those. So one of the things that the lawyer has previously asked us to do in our ordinances is, it's put in the original date if we have it, any revisions.
yep, I see that.
So if we're okay with this, I'll send this copy of the notes plus the cleaned up copy to the select board.
Sounds good.
One more check for Brandon's. Cemetery is gonna go to Robin.
Do they get to see all the changes as well, or just the,
No, they get two copies. They get one with all the changes identified and then one that's.
That's just
accepted all
the
the
clean version
Right.
of it, yeah.
good, okay.
Um. Back to the, you guys all saw the note that was a response. to,
Yeah.
Yeah, got it right here.
Sure did.
If you have any changes to that note. Yeah.
Yeah, here we go. I think I've already read.
Yeah, everything on that note was answered.
Yep.
Right? Thought so.
Mhm.
I just wanna make sure that everybody's okay with that response. Do you want to change anything on that?
Mhm.
Speed.
I do have two things on the solar ordinance. One is I looked at solar ordinances from 3 other towns. They don't have any appeals language at all in theirs because you're not required to have an avenue for appeal to anybody. You don't have to give them an avenue to appeal. The way our solar ordinance is written, it basically says the planning board can choose to grant some kind of variance or not. Somebody wants something that's slightly out of the norm, or if there's a question of the and/or, we could have made a decision, voted on that and pass it on. It didn't have to go to the appeals board, but I think because that is in some of our ordinances, everybody was like, "Ah, it's a variance, it has to go to the appeals board, nobody really looked." So it was a knee-jerk reaction all the way along the line, right? So we sent it to the select board, they're like, "Oh, we have to have the appeals board," like, nobody had read, we all wrote the ordinance, all of us, the select board included, but I think we didn't think that that wasn't in there because it's not in the other ones. And it's not required to be in there. Now, we took the language from the, uh, we took the language from a different ordinance and put it in there.
We did,
Yeah. So we have,
but now you're rethinking it.
well,
should we
make
have
sure
it
that
in?
we're okay, that I don't know that we have to have it in there. And I think the attorney was right, the appeals board has no jurisdiction because there was not an appeals.
So okay, that's exactly the reason why I don't think it should be in there, is because it went to all that effort, the town spent. I don't know if you ever got the amount or not, but money to have that lawyer come and just say they have no right to do anything. So what was the purpose of that? So why even have it in there? Because it didn't do any good anyway,
Well, it wasn't in there, that's the point.
huh?
It wasn't
Not-
in there
so that was-
before.
But I don't think,
We're proposing to add it, but now
I don't
we're
think so.
rethinking.
my vote would be no.
Just leave it the way it is.
Huh?
Mhm.
Yeah, because the select board are the ones that went ahead and set up that meeting for the appeals board, got the appeals board together, and then the lawyer comes and has his letter already written and says, oh, they have no right to do anything. So what was the point of that?
I mean, to me, that could have been communicated before they called the board and had a meeting.
Well, yeah, because
Yeah.
he didn't sit there for nothing. And, I don't know, we can take a vote on it. I vote no.
It doesn't make any sense to have an appeal in there when you don't have an appeal board.
Well, not only that, the appeal board has no right to do anything.
So why would they be able to override a planning board decision?
It's a circuitous
Sure.
argument, right? If there is a language in there that gives somebody, an applicant who wants a variance, who says, I think something's wrong with the ordinance, or blah, 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 or usually it's when they believe that a decision of the planning board or the code enforcement officer was not correct.
Oh, see, the code enforcement officer is a different thing. You can appeal that.
Well, you can if there's not an appeals section in your ordinance.
For the code enforcement officer,
Nope, not unless you have that paragraph directly written into your ordinance. Right, so at this point, it would be this, the planning board makes a decision based on all the information that you have, and then we recommend pass or fail on the application, and we send it to the select board for final approval. Now, they can still, unless they're given specific rights to stop it, they could stop it, but
but even so, I mean, all these meetings are public. They can just come in. And say, hey, this is my problem. Can we work something out?
Can you explain that to me? Explain that again about the code enforcement officer? How that would affect?
It shouldn't, the code enforcement officer isn't part of this ordinance. It's planning board, right? Solar applications would come to the planning board, not the.
well, the code enforcement officer has to sign off on a solar application as well.
Well, they have to
Okay.
get an application,
Okay, so they're part of the checklist,
They are.
got it.
so,
Let me just find it where it's language as it is written.
Well, the planning board wouldn't pass it if the code enforcement officer had an objection anyway, right?
I wouldn't think so.
So, yeah, why would we need an appeals process?
So here is.
Favorite ordinance.
I know, these are so much fun. So. I know. So here's the. October 25th proposal revision. This is the one that we were looking at last fall. So. Nothing changed here except the potential date, but still anything that's marked up doesn't change.
We were getting rid of the and or to make it very clear that it was and.
yeah,
Right,
Yes,
And then we were gonna add an appeals process,
right, which we did.
but. Now we're thinking maybe we just jump that and that's just the and. Change.
I think it's worth having a conversation. So here's the. Here. This has got all the changes marked on it. When I made it bigger, it doesn't page correctly now.
I mean, after we approve an application, it still has to go through the select board, right?
The
So
ordinance has to go back to the select board, which we sent them this already
Right,
once.
right.
And that's why they sent that note, right?
Yeah.
And the note said several things, right? It
Mhm.
said, where did the appeals language come from in this revised ordinance? Why are you even working on this when you have all these other things you need to be doing?
Right.
And I forget about fast, but anyway, those are the answers.
Yep.
So I think there was a concern about advancing this while the Tonello application was still in the works. However, none of the changes proposed in this ordinance
Made any difference.
affect their
Right.
application
Right.
whatsoever.
right,
And we made sure of that before we made any changes.
Correct.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get back up to the and/or thing, because that was right.
I think this language, now that we're talking about it, this appeals sets up a potential back and forth and back and forth.
Yeah, like we had.
mhm.
And I, you know,
Big-
I don't understand why we need it.
Looking for the and/or. Approve. Application requirements. Okay, so here are the changes. We took out the application fee schedule altogether.
Yeah.
And said,
See
see
book.
parents on, I'm gonna change it again, a town fee schedule approved by the select board. Because the town's attorney changed that language in one of the other ordinances, because he said, if you say the town fee schedule in big letters. You need to have a definition in here of what the town fee schedule is,
Okay,
or if you just say, is made apparent on a fee schedule approved by the town.
yep,
It's fine.
You know,
That's fine.
you have to have a definition. So I will make sure, I'll change that language. I'm trying to get it to. Okay. So I think it's in, yeah, so it's back here in the definition, it's right here. But here's where we, on page 2, here's where we change the and order,
mhm,
right? The definition of a large scale. Is 6 to 30 acres and generates a nameplate capacity from 1 megawatt to 5 megawatt.
okay,
Medium scale is
And?
from a half an acre to 6 acres and generates a nameplate capacity up to but not including 1 megawatt. And then here we say nameplate capacity is rated in DC. And we could put DC in each of the definitions as well, just so it's clear. That's a question mark.
you mean the conversion from,
So it
what
makes
1
us-
megawatt is in DC? Versus, and to 5 megawatts, what it is in DC, is that what you're saying?
Well. Right here it says megawatt, and then further down it says nameplate capacity is rated in DC.
Right, so that's what I'm saying, are you saying to put in there,
I just put what took to 5 megawatt DC, just put the letters DC after it, so they know that
Yeah.
capacity is in DC.
okay, I think that makes it more uniform.
Alright, So that's and or, we took out the fee schedule, referred that back to just any fee schedule in the town office. And we added this language about the appeals board. So I think we have several options. One is take out appeals language altogether, number one. Number two is clarify the appeals language, and there was in the, might have been in the cemetery ordinance draft had, I thought, a clearer appeals board language. So this is saying. You put an appeal, you give somebody a chance to. Have a second trial, right? If we say it doesn't pass for this reason. Whatever reason. Either we're the end of the story.
Yeah.
Right? It
Yeah.
doesn't pass because the planning board reviewed it, the code enforcement officer reviewed it, together we agree it doesn't pass. Like you're done, we can tell you what you have to change, you can come back and make those changes.
I don't see anything.
You can stop there, or you could give that person an option to have an appeal. Usually says something like, to consider an alleged error in procedure by the planning board code enforcement officer and the administration or enforcement of this ordinance. So if somebody believes that we didn't review it correctly. And we chose some measure that they don't agree with, that isn't in the ordinance or whatever. If they think there's something we did wrong, they can appeal that.
And now I thought if you had appeal verbiage in there, they can appeal it to a court of law.
Well, you have to tell them what, the appeals language tells you how far you can go.
Right.
Right, so this says, you have, it says you have a board of appeals, the board of appeals can only consider. Alleged errors by the planning board of the code enforcement officer. Or which is an administrative appeal, or if there's a variance appeal to consider. If in cases of relaxation of the terms of this ordinance would be contrary to the public interest or intent of the ordinance. Or if owing to the unique conditions of the property, not due to the result of the actions of the applicant, literal enforcement would cause undue hardship. Now, undue hardship in some of our other ordinances is incredibly hard to prove.
Yeah.
Now, in the, one other ordinance I was looking at. It might have been a cemetery ordinance, it basically says, hey, if. The cost to change whatever it is they're doing is gonna cost them more than 15% of the cost of the project. That would be hardship, so that would justify. A second look. Appeal, it's gonna cost them more than 15%. Other ordinances don't have that at all, if undue hardship can be, you have to define what is hardship. Right, and it can be, we have a couple ordinances for which hardship is very vague. It's still probably need revisions. Here, I think there was a definition that said hardship is. The crucial point of variance appeals are undue hardship and
Unique
circumstances applying to the property. Both of these elements must be present to grant a variance. So if they say, well, I don't want to do what you're asking me to do in the ordinance because it's gonna exorbitantly cost me some X amount of money, that's not enough. There also has to be other reasons why you can't do that. And I don't know what that, I have no idea what that would be in this case.
Or we take the variance appeal section out. And just allow administrative appeals.
You could,
The question I still have, if you have this in the ordinance, then does the appeals board have the ability to say nay or yay?
yes,
They didn't have the ability because it wasn't in the ordinance, is that what
Correct.
I'm understanding?
correct.
Previously. So it should have never been appealed before,
Should never have gone to the appeals board.
right? But if this is in there, then it can go to the appeals board and they do have a right to say
To
something
be
or go
heard
down.
by this.
Okay.
Yep.
That's the difference.
This language is in some of our other ordinances,
The filing procedure and hearing.
yeah.
Yeah.
So if I have a concern, I can file for an appeal within 30 days. Appeals,
Who's
Yeah.
I in this? Who can,
oh, it says a person agreed by the decision of the planning board or the code enforcement officer,
so you mean a citizen could,
an applicant. So this is the solar ordinance, so somebody's
Yeah,
applying
right.
for solar
yeah,
permit.
they can apply for the appeals board.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
Okay, got it.
and they have a time period, like 30 days from the time, let's say the planning board says you don't get a permit. To appeal, so if they don't appeal in 30 days,
They're done.
they're done. Now, on a separate ordinance, we had a woman who. During COVID ran into some problem on a building permit. And at the end of the day, she got all the materials together, but it was way after the 30-day, whatever the thing was. And I said, I think with COVID, you have a really reasonable case.
Yeah.
To file for an appeal and,
Yeah,
you
well,
know,
yeah.
administrative appeal, it's not anybody's fault, not your fault that your contractor couldn't get back to you fast enough because so much crap was going on.
Mhm.
But I think that would justify.
yeah, yeah,
Secondary.
Yeah.
You know. But he's not doing it. So. Let me go back for 2 seconds to the, do I have the, yeah. The, ordinance from, cemetery, the other one from the other towns, I think that had some pretty decent language in it. Waterford. Plant shoved. Oh, no, maybe it's a bit that one, never mind. There is no. Sorry, that one didn't have one. And a number of our town ordinances don't have them, but housing and minimum lot size does, because there's always some question about you building your house too close to the.
Right.
Border or whatever else, shoreline zoning, I think has one.
Mhm.
But a bunch of other ordinances have no rights of appeal in them.
So,
I mean, we could look at language in another ordinance and see if there's something that's a little clearer. There was one I saw this week that defined hardship more succinctly, and I can't remember which one it was. I'll have to go. I can send that in a separate email this week to say, hey, if we want to keep it in, and we want to say you can only appeal for administrative appeal or a variance appeal. A variance appeal can only be granted based on hardship. Here's the definition of hardship. I don't know if I can find it during the course of our meeting, I'll get it up, but otherwise I'll send it as free.
Yep.
I don't think anybody will care if we wait another meeting cycle to send them a solar ordinance. They don't believe they want it now.
They're not banging on the door, Phil.
Yeah. But see, these are the subtleties. Everybody thinks it's super easy to write an ordinance. And there's a lot of subtleties involved
Yeah.
in these things.
What is the benefit? In the solar ordinance? Or any ordinance, I mean. The appeal, I'm a little confused, because. The appeal was done on this through the select board, it wasn't done through. The company that was putting in the solar,
Yes, it was.
it was done that way.
Yeah, they sent a document asking for variance because of it, holding endorsing.
Okay, the variance, okay, so that opened it up to the appeals board.
Well, that opened it up. I think what
Yes, they
could have
did.
happened is the planning board had the jurisdiction to make a decision on that and just say yes or no and move it on to the next.
And there was a difference of opinion on that.
Well, I think we jumped also.
Yeah.
Just like everybody else. We kind of said, oh my God, he's asking for variance. Variances go to the appeals board. Like, so it was just an automatic thing without us looking.
There's not any harm of having it in there. It's kind of a safety net. Am I
It's a
understanding?
safety net for the applicant.
For the applicant.
Yeah.
In that respect, I'd say, okay. Because, I mean, what's it hurting? But the applicant is the one that has to put in for an appeal.
Right.
Okay, so,
Right.
yeah,
So it
so,
is upon them.
yes,
You accept what direction they were given,
right,
saying you don't pass for these reasons.
okay,
They feel that they should have passed for some reason.
right,
They can then come back and ask for that variance.
okay,
And they feel that, in order to make it compliant, it would be a hardship on them. And it just isn't.
I'd be interested to hear the other definition of hardship.
Yeah, I saw.
I'm
this
inclined to
weekend.
take out the variance appeal and just leave administrative appeal. That's where my head's going right now, because this seems so gray to me. But if there's something that you feel,
Well, if we take out
the
the
wording is a little more clear about what hardship means, especially in the case of this.
Okay.
And yeah, let's look at that and then we can talk about it at the next meeting.
Okay, happy to send you.
Thank you.
I know I'd seen it across my desk somewhere this week. And I'm like, oh, that's a good definition of hardship. And I can't recall exactly what it's. I reviewed the solar ordinances from 3 other towns as well, and they did not have any appeal board language at all in their ordinances.
No, it's either pass or fail.
So I'm like,
A variance is only authorized for
Okay.
area.
so is it hardship for land use?
Area capacity, what would that mean?
Oh, come on,
well, because our ordinance gives them, it has a area requirement, it can only be 5 acres.
Right,
Or less, right? So if they say, based on the lie of the land, or there's a boulder over here and we have to, work, around this boulder, so our footprint's gonna be 5.2 acres or whatever.
okay,
Could we granted that variance based on that?
thank you, I was just looking for examples.
I was too, I mean, I was got zoning hardship. Hardship and permits, would that be under there?
Undue hardship in unique circumstances. And they both have to be there in order to grant the variance.
Okay,
Because you don't want people to say,
There's a
well,
boulder, it's gonna cost a lot of money to move this boulder, so
Yeah.
it's really 5.2 acres, that's why we're asking for the variance. Because it'll cost so much money to move this immovable rock, we'll have to bring somebody in here to
Mhm.
blow it up. Like that.
yeah,
in that case, I would argue that you're not actually putting solar array on top of the rock, right? So the actual area covered, you know, your
go around the rock,
shouldn't be
yeah.
any bigger than what.
Drill a hole in the center of it, stick it in the middle.
I'm just taking your
I know.
example.
I think so much, whatever it is.
But see, these are the kind of things that I think the planning board should be debating and talking about and saying yay or nay.
Yeah.
You know, do we really need to go to appeals board then to rethink what the planning board's already been going on? I don't know. Do you think that the planning board did something wrong and they're, going through your documents, that's one thing. But okay, we're putting it aside till the next meeting.
You'll discuss hardship.
We'll talk about hardship.
After housing, I did not send you guys down. But I'm still like, I think we're like 99.9% there, but I'll send that out this week, so we have that. So let's get over to the comprehensive plan. If our work. That we can get to the internet. So. Oh. I think I'm going to, my mind. So last week's select board meeting, I did give a copy of this plan printed out. I didn't go through and fill in like, hey, this chapter is 50% complete, this chapter is 80%. I didn't, and they just like, oh, we a lot of work to do. Like they didn't.
Yeah, I saw that.
So I don't think they were really asking about that, but. Next Monday is our working plan. I saw, because it is a state holiday. So that, our outside people, Farmland Trust,
Mhm.
they're working with Maps people, Habitat people and Erica Buffkin from Avtag. That's a vacation day for them. They're not in the office. She did say, hey, we could sign it at, I think, 5 o'clock for like half an hour and talk to you guys on that day on the phone. But we can't
Okay.
be there in person. Like, okay, thank you for the half hour we can get through.
Yeah.
And they've got the Zoom link for that. I'm assuming we'll be here in the meeting room, and doing stuff on the board or whatever we can
Yep.
do, but, if it turns into a really bad news. Which is we have it as a meeting. We can double check with Erica on Monday, her timing on the transportation chapter updates. Greg sent some information. On that chapter, which I'll have to look at again before Monday. Farmland Trust sent a bunch of resources. I have not gone through all those, but that's something we could do together on Mondays. And look at those resources they provided from the state and start to actually draw those in. Housing, I'll try to have housing done before Monday. And the population demographics, those two things go together. I could try, I think I can have those done by Monday for a draft.
I'll get the 25 information if I can on mine by Monday.
Now, the town office, I think, is closed because that's a holiday on Monday, so they won't be here Monday.
Okay, I mean, I'm just, okay, got it right here. No, the 24th should be online. Cause I think we went through the 23rd, because the 24th wasn't available. For the information for this. Um. Yeah, it only goes through the 2023 on part,
Right, right, right.
on parts of them, yeah.
I did talk to Rob Marshall from the Historical Society. And he sent me stuff today, during the bicentennial. There's a big presentation that went on in a big tent down by the ball field.
Yeah.
Where they had 30 kind of historic artifacts from the town that really told a lot about the town's history. How we broke off from Jay, there's a copy of that original petition to the state, like Maine State Legislature, the legislators set us up as a separate town. There's something in there, there's an art, like a violin from the famous violin maker that used to be here, something from the mill, right? They had representation of all these really key, interesting points on the town's history. Today he sent me the link to the transcript for that presentation that's got pictures of those individual items, plus a little like paragraph on each of those things on the history. So I'm taking that out of their format, trying to put that into our format so that we can see how much really we want to say about it, but I think it's probably worth
It's very interesting.
having a few pages in there that
Yeah,
tell about the history of the town.
oh, I think it's a great idea.
I mean, I asked him like, hey, could you help me write this? And he's like, yeah, here's the link to the presentation. It's basically done. I'm like, okay, but it's not formatted in a way I can use it or anything else, but. I started playing with that today for a little bit, so I think to have that by Monday as well, those three pieces. Um. I'll have his dress. Daniel, public facilities, do you have, in that online chapter, can you download the existing public facility and services chapter, or do you want me to print it out?
If you could print it, that'd be helpful.
Um. What's your address again? I can print it at home and drop it off.
djcrosby@yahoo.com.
Right, but if I'm gonna print it and drop it off at your house, how would I get that to you? Where's your address?
Oh, it's 494 Jewett Hill Road.
I will get you the public facilities and those. Robin, you sent over the land use.
Existing future. Yeah, but I'd like to. So I use Chat GPT to help me bring all the concepts together from the mission and vision. And our existing documents. But since our existing documents are old
Mhm.
and need to be refreshed, I feel like I want to go through that exercise again. After we've updated all of our chapters. It didn't take long to pull that in.
Mhm.
But one of the things that, as I was working on it, that Chat GPT asked me, as we were going through the process, me and this AI thing, did we want to manage basically the land through ordinances or, through zoning? Or both? And since I don't really know the answer to that question, I left zoning out. I had it author it without zoning. But, if that's something that the select board has been talking about, that wants to incorporate into these documents, then great. I just need that kind of feedback. So hopefully, I think Robin should be here by then. I don't know, so maybe she can take that back and we can ask, but unless we have something specific in mind for zoning, I think it should be left out. But I wanted to bring that to the table and say, well, what do you think? Cause next time I go through this.
It was an interesting topic, because I've always heard every single time someone brought up zoning in the town voted it down. They don't want.
They don't want zoning.
Now, there are
It's a-
certain
That
zones,
was the vibe I was getting to, so that's why I said, okay, well, let's stick to ordinances. These are working documents, right?
yeah, oh, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Now,
And next year we can change our mind and update it, right?
in the shoreline zoning, ordinance, there is something that talks about. Like certain habitat areas that you can't, so you don't wanna build there, and so do you have designated kind of growth areas? Doesn't have to be zoned per se, like this is zoned commercial, this is zoned residential, it doesn't have to be like that, but it could be, these are designated growth areas. Or these are areas of open space, we wanna maintain as open space, so they're not zoned, but they could be. What do you call that? Now, last year, when my husband and I applied to turn our barn into apartments, there was an outcry, all of a sudden, we need zoning, we need zoning, we need zoning, because we don't want apartments in a residential area. I'm like, those are residences. You
Well,
know,
part of the reason you have zoning is so that you can be efficient with your town. Resources, right? Like, don't put a road out in the middle of nowhere with an apartment building that now we have to plow this long road to get to the apartment building. That doesn't make sense, right?
Right.
So that's how you take advantage of.
Right.
Of zoning, right, is so that you're efficient, at least one of the things as I was looking
But
into
they didn't,
these land use documents, right, like. This is how we're supposed to be thinking about that when it comes to zoning.
well, originally, like way back, I date myself here, when we first came here, we we're doing the first comp plan, 2004. The state had designated what they call pine tree zones all around the state. These are supposed to be for economic development, where you could put in like small industry, small businesses. And every town had to designate a pine tree zone, right? And it became pretty cumbersome for some small towns, because like the only land in the town here that's able to do that was all privately held. So
Right.
the owner wanted to do that. And how do you designate, is it three of this, like say the land across the street from here, is that the guy, I don't know, 20 acres, right? Do you, three of it is a pine tree zone, 5 of it, 10, how do you do it? So finally, the state legislature just basically said, the whole state's a pine tree zone. So we're all for economic development, put it anywhere you want, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
well, that's what I was just sitting there thinking, most of the land here is probably privately owned.
Well, right, that's why you can't really prescribe, here's what we wanna do in the future, right, but.
Yeah.
Or you could designate,
So it's I think it did a good job of like pulling in concepts from our other chapters to be. To use within the existing and future land use, but like I said, I'd like to go through it again. If zoning is something that we wanna explore, I'd need to get feedback from someone. To say, this is what we think we want, right, but
So do they have?
without having that, we're gonna stick with, we're managing things by ordinance.
Does the town have any zoning?
no,
Okay, cause I think I remember asking Colonel Ferris that, and they said, yeah, we wanna keep it that way.
right,
But there is commercial property, right?
right, but there's
Yeah.
no,
But
any
it's
single
not.
plot of land is not zoned to commercial plot or
Right,
residential plot.
Right.
People could put, and
I mean, we could, I suppose you could say, hey, all along this highway right here, we wanna develop commercial.
Right,
And zone things, I
But right now,
suppose,
nothing
as
is set.
commercial, and then if the landowner wants to sell, that's one of the things.
I mean, you could say that we want encourage multi-use development
Right.
along the 108 corridor.
Right.
That's probably enough, right?
Right.
Where we
There's
want
only
to
so much
encourage-
you can prescribe within these.
yeah, when it's all privately owned.
Okay, so I'm on the right track with sticking with the ordinance unless
Right.
this board here is different from feedback from the town. The other thing is I was going through some of the other towns' documents. They had a survey. Did you see that in my note? Like, once we get our stuff together with these documents, being able to distribute them. And then ask people prior to the town meeting, so we're not surprised at a town meeting or
Right.
whatever, like, oh, that sucks. What do you think about this resident and what do you think about this business owner? So they had a survey, a different questions that they would ask a business owner than what they would ask a resident. So it's just something that maybe we think about during our working session. And then they included the results of that survey within their comp plan. To show that they were on the right track with what, the comp plan was proposing.
That's part of the comp plan too, is public approval, right?
Right.
Well, yes, there's.
Yeah.
There's multiple stages, right? So we're at the stage of getting all the like raw data together,
Yeah,
Right,
and then we have to draft the so what. Right,
Yeah.
so now that we know all this stuff about, we have so many miles of roads, and we have these kinds of trucks, and we have
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. So what, right? So we help start the draft of the actual plan, which is. Okay, we know that we have to increase revenue to offset the cost of municipal services going up. Right, so how do we do that, right? So we're gonna have to encourage some kind of commercial development. Where do we wanna do it? And what kinds of things we wanna encourage, and
Yeah,
what,
that's-
what mechanisms do we have to encourage that, like TIFs or tax breaks or whatever?
right.
Do we wanna encourage any more residential use, and if so, like, how big do we think we wanna grow as a town?
Right.
And and what's the reasoning, like with some rationale for saying, like, we're at 1,100 people now, do we wanna say 1,500 is a good number? I mean,
Yeah.
And what, if it goes bigger, what do? We don't have any means of stopping it per se, right?
right.
But you can certainly manage it by saying, we don't want all this sprawl, like you say, more and more roads going in that the town has to manage. Do you want,
It's hard to get commercial interest when everything's privately owned.
You exactly,
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
well, we said for a long time, we have a chunk of land on 108. Right now, water and sewer ends at the edge of our property.
Yeah,
Right, and so if we said, we're gonna develop that next chunk of property, which I would be happy to do.
Is that where they're taking the wood off right now? Yeah.
Would the town help contribute, or, work on the cost of adding the water and sewer, right? Because it puts more users on their
On their
services.
sewer system, yeah.
There's a ways to create a win.
Right.
But I think if it's not in the plan and it's not written that way, then you get a lot of headbutting.
oh,
Yep.
yeah,
Like, why did she count that out? And it's like, that's not.
and I would imagine now adding anything to town sewer is kind of up in the air, because the whole sewer plant's up in the air.
Well, the operator is leaving,
Yeah,
and we know that there needs to be some upgrades.
yeah,
But do you know, take everybody off municipal sewer and put them back on? Well,
Please, no.
Ooh,
can't do that, I don't think.
Yeah,
That
that's-
doesn't hurt, that's
it's a huge expense that most people can't do.
mm-mm.
so anyway, on that one, I think I'll try again. After we get more of our documents, maybe at a 90% mark.
So
And
Dan,
then we can tweak it cause I think this is kind of what do we do about it? Section, right? So I can get a draft going, but then fine tuning, I think I'll need help from everyone.
to your point, I think there's like multiple stages for public involvement from here going forward. We had brainstorming sessions with the public, we had 10, 12, 15 people come to
Yeah.
different, I think we did it 3 different times.
Yeah.
To talk about the vision and where they wanna go and what they want it to look like and all that kind of stuff, which is great. We had kids, we had older people, we had some people who we never see at anything showed up. You're like, wow, this is like the voice of somebody who's important in town, but we just never see them. So that was all good. When we have a draft, before we get to the so what, I think that's a brainstorming session. That includes the select board and the public.
Yeah,
And I think you break them into sections or we figure out how to facilitate that conversation so people stay focused because it's easy
yeah,
for them to go over this. And then coming out of that is when you draft the plan. And then once you actually have a draft plan that's like 98% done, you have another public hearing and it gives people a chance for feedback.
Yeah.
That would be a time to do a survey too.
yeah.
Like right now. Cause then when
I
you,
just like surveys. I think you get interesting.
yeah,
If you can, people will say things when they know they can be anonymous,
Mhm.
right? Like, and I'd rather hear it up front than be sitting in a town meeting. Oh, surprise, we don't like any of this, right? Don't tell me now what you don't like. And then I'll try to address that before we get to that point. That's always where my head's at.
It's not a bad
I
idea.
think you do have to say that too, because we've had people who I've never even seen before in town, show up at town meetings, specifically there to vote something down.
Yeah,
Right, and so they were dragged there by somebody else who
Well,
wanted them to
that's-
come and vote something down. I'm like, where were you when we had?
but that's why I
discussions?
think that's the other reason I like
Yep.
surveys. Now you're making everyone feel included because you're getting it out there. Tell me what you think. So, anyway, interesting things I was seeing as I was reading some of those other towns' documents.
So the push, I think, from the select board is to say, first of all, you can have a town meeting and vote on this anytime, it does not have to be at the annual. town
Yeah,
meeting in
right.
June.
Sure.
They'd love to see how far we can get it, how could we be ready for June, which would mean it would have to basically be done by May.
Mhm.
I'm like, this is January, February. That's a lot of work in 4 months, we'll see. We'll see.
I'm game.
Yep.
Let me know who needs help. Because I'm kind of in a hold mode,
You're
you
what?
know, in a hold mode
Oh,
until we get more of those chapters kind of refreshed, and then I'll go at it again with Chat GPT with a more refreshed set of documents.
mhm.
And then we can look at those and add some more specific ideas.
So do you go to, like I got GPT-0 on here, what is it, or what is it, GPT? How do you get to that, to do
I
that?
Googled it
That's what I just said.
and it walked me through, because it's smarter than me. It walked me through.
Is it just GPT
It's
though?
like, here's what I want. I want you to take all of these documents and this is what I need as an output, right? And it's like, okay, well, this is how you can give me your information, or you can do it this way, or you can do it this way, and it walks you through. Here's what I need, and then it's like, okay, well, it suggests things to do next.
And
Do you want me to do this? Do you want me to do that? I can incorporate this. It also did a check against what Maine is gonna require from
Oh, good.
us within the document. So I'm like, oh yeah, that's really helpful. Do that too, right? And give me the checklist of what you did, and so.
Perfect.
And you can give it instructions on tonality, like, I want this to
Yes.
be very, like
Strict.
reader friendly, or I want this to be very like legalistic and.
Right.
Have this kind of language in it, you can tell it what.
It offered to go into our other documents and make all those documents sound the same, have the same tone.
Oh.
I just heard, I'm like, no, don't go that far. I'm good.
Can you do laundry? Can you do laundry?
Yeah, right. Can you hit my grocery shopping this week?
Cook me supper.
Okay, so that's where I'm at. So if anybody else needs help, let me know.
All right, so Daniel, will you be joining us next Monday at 4 p.m.?
Yeah, I should be able to. That's a holiday anyways, so, yeah.
All right. And Lynn, you'll be there, you think? Or are you working?
And if the roads are good, yeah.
Yeah, those are always good. It's the crap that's on top.
Hmm. Canton roads are always good.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Most for the most.
Canton roads are always good.
My roads were pretty crappy before. I'm on a secondary, well,
You always have bad days, and it depends on how many drivers they get, if somebody calls out sick, like the plow drivers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been driving to Rangeley. These roads are great.
Yes. They're great.
That hill going out of Weld, as soon as you hit the top of the hill, they lift the plow and shut off the sand. You're done. Get out your snowmobile for the rest of the way.
Me oh my.
wow.
All right,
So,
any other new business?
Hmm.
I'm gonna fill in under new business, I'm gonna fill in that grant workshop information and that, meeting notes, just so everybody will have it.
Perfect. Oh, that'd be great. I'll put it on my calendar. Okay, move to adjourn.
second.
All in favor? Awesome sauce.
Hmm.